there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Cindy Daychek with Queen Bee Creations, and today we're going to do a little bit of thrift flipping stuff. I've picked up a couple of things along the way. This is the newest edition. Look at this beauty. This actually came from the dump. So I'm in the season where my sister's cottage dump is now open, and they've got this open-ended building that people can put their discarded items that they're thinking, you know what, I'm tired of it, I don't need it, but maybe it could be rescued by others rather than going into the actual landfill dump itself. And you're welcome to go and take whatever works for you, and I'm lucky enough to have her looking for me. So we've got this big beautiful cage. Love that. I happen to have gotten this, and I gotta tell you, I kind of like the finish. I mean, I certainly love how the metal is all rusted, and I don't want to change that. So I'm gonna show. We're going to do a little bit to this, but we're also going to kind of leave it like it is. That doesn't even make sense. I also have this. I love the roof on this. Again, it's kind of got some of that rusted patina happening, which I love, but the rest of it is kind of a little bit boring looking. So it doesn't take much zhuzhing. And then we have this. So here's the thing with this. I thrifted this. You can tell by the Value Village sticker. Here's something that I have a pet peeve about. That they don't want you to peel the stickers off because then they don't stick anymore and they fall off and it's more work for them. And I try and honor that. So I get back to my shop and I peel the sticker off of this. And it's covering a huge chip. Now, if this was a one of, I could put it down to, it was a mistake. I mean, this is Italian pottery. I thought it was super cute. I love this. So I would put that down to a mistake. I would say, okay, they're just stickering things so fast that they just lost track. But this particular Value Village, this is about the 6th or 7th time this has happened. I've had huge, big chunks out sometimes, like not chunks where, all right, maybe it's not like a huge chunk, but I've had pieces like big chips. I've had it masking cracks. I've had it masking major stains and discoloration, things that would have prevented me buying it in the first place. And I've spoken to them about it, and they say that they don't do that. I'm like, you know what? My experience would prove otherwise. So this one, and I'm kind of tired of buying them, and I could go back and you know, raise a fuss, but it's also, you know, the distance driving and coming back when it was for an item that I bought for well, it was priced at $4.99 less my 30%. So I got it for what, $3.50. And I think that's how they get me every time, is that whatever the item is, I didn't spend that much. And it's not worth the more than $3.50 in gas to go and complain about it to get my $3.50 back when I don't have that time to do that anyway. So we're gonna zhuzh this one up a little bit just because it's Italian pottery and it's cute, and I just didn't want to get rid of it, and I think it would make a good like utensil holder or paintbrush holder and the things. So we're gonna do that. So 4 items, that's what we're gonna do today, and I am just going to go and get stuff to get started. And then we're gonna jump in on all of these. I'm gonna get started with this one first because it has the most work. One is kind of picky with this. I want to have some dry time in between my coats, and I am gonna do a couple of colors on it. So first base coat is a very light gray. I'm using Fusion Pebble because I envision this could be used indoors, but it could also potentially be used out of doors with a big potted plant in it. I'm gonna do it in an all-in-one paint. And I'm not gonna be agonizing over being super precise about this because I'm gonna be doing a number of other layers. So, you know, if you're looking going, oh, I'd rather just spray paint it, absolutely, go for it. But I got a lot of paint in the shop and I don't have a spray paint in all the colors that I potentially am gonna use. So I'm just going with what I got. If you've got a spray paint, do it. So I'm just gonna get, you know, a pretty light coat. You can see that it's going pretty quickly. It's kind of cleaning up the look, and it's just amazing the difference that just a little paint makes to the overall look of something. But we're gonna get this done inside and out. I'm just working off the paint that's on the lid first. And then we'll come back for some of the next coats. Okay, I want to address this guy. So, because it's got, I mean, I get that these are faux rope handles, but they're in the darker color. I thought that maybe what I could do is just begin gluing some jute around here. And it sort of makes sense that because it's got these woven lip dividers, that we take it maybe right up to that edge so that it's going to be up fairly substantially, but you know, better than having the chip showing and or having to just get rid of it. So what I want to do on the first row, because it's pretty slick and you're just going to have your rope kind of wanting to fall off the edge. This row, I'm going to want to sort of go slow and get that stuck on. I'm going to glue all the way around it. And then subsequent rows, I can just tack it every so often. I'm not going to have to glue the entire length of it because they're going to be butting up against the row that is already kind of locked in place. So I'm just going to continue this and spiral it all the way up to that lip, and we'll see how this looks at that point. Then for this little birdhouse, I just want to zhuzh it up. The green is okay, but it's just really kind of dull. So we're gonna zhuzh it up with red, and this is bright red. This is Fort York red, so it's got some oomph to it. But I'm going to, and I'm looking around for like a little piece of paper here that I could use. I'm just going to dry brush it on. And that'll work. So I've got a little piece of paper, and I'm just going to, I'm using a little fan brush because I want it quite light to start. I don't know how bright this is going to be. And I'm just looking to kind of dry brush it. Just roughly in spots because we're not going to need lots of it. And it doesn't make sense to do like a pristine red exterior when we're keeping this patina. So you can see it's just here and there-ish. I mean, I'm not going to need any more paint than what's just sitting here on the lid. But we're just going to drag it down. It'll be heavier in spots, lighter in others. And that's going to be all good. And it's just going to, the red is going to kind of set off against the little copper roofing. And I like it with the green showing. for this guy, it's a really rough surface. So I'm thinking that I might be able to use some white wax to get it down into some of the crevices, but just loosely. And I'm using a really stiff, very jaggedy brush to do this so that I'm not getting it everywhere. So I want it to lighten so you can see the difference here and here, but I still want it to have that aged look. So I'm looking to have it kind of brighten it up a little bit, but I'm not looking to paint it a solid white and make this look brand spanking new. I think that takes some of the look and some of the charm of it away. So we can still see that aged wood in here, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I'm just going to be adding this on, getting it down into some of those crevices, and then I'm leaving it rusty. I'm good with that. I just need to avoid getting a lot of my wax on the metal, which is where I don't want it. While my wax is still a little bit wet, I'm going to take that same little brush that I was using to get down into the nooks and crannies, and I'm going to take some decrepit dust, and I am going to use it around some of the edging just to give it back a little bit of that age. I mean, it's still a grunge look, so we don't want that white to look absolutely pristine. So a little bit here and there. And we're just going to emphasize some of those rough details. Nothing major. You could probably skip this step, but I see it. I know it's there. I feel better about it. It just starts to, in my mind more than anything else, tie in those rusty details. And quite honestly now, that rust stands out and it looks like it's meant to be part of it. And this kind of this brown dust just kind of helps tie the rest of it in and has it looking like part of the decor rather than looking like everything was just old. Sometimes we want it to look cool old, not old. We've got our little birdhouse done, and I like the two-toning. I like how we've got that weathered look happening. I still just want to brighten it up a little bit, but I want these colors to be able to echo up through. So what I am going to do is I'm going to mix up a little wash. Now I have some cathedral taupe. I wanted it more in a creamy tone than like a dead white. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to dilute it. Now, if you're creating a wash, usually you're using water. I'm going to use a little bit of top coat just because this is going to go outside and the water would dilute and interfere with the top coat coverage of my all-in-one. Now I want it particularly light. So I'm not even doing a teaspoon. I'm dipping this in here and I just kind of dipped my spoon in and I pulled it out and I let a lot of it run off. I'm not even doing a full teaspoon. I'm making this pretty light. Just because the thicker I make it, the more opaque it's going to be, and I want it to have a translucent look. Now I have an old cloth hanging out here. I can dab away any excess. I'm just looking for a very soft brush. And what we're looking at doing here is just brushing this over the top. So you can see how light that is, how translucent it is, but how much already that's just lightening that up. But we'll definitely be able to see all those colors peeking through. It's almost kind of like if we were doing a white wax and wiping it away and it was going to sit in the lows. It's kind of the same idea, but let me get another little panel done here and then I can show you the effect. So see how it is there and see how it is here. Just subtle, just light, but so it still gives that look of aging that we were after and that worn kind of weathered look, but it's just lightening it up just that little bit. And for me, that makes a difference. Now, if when you went to do this, you decided, oh, that's still, that's too translucent, you can just add a little bit more paint, but you could see how little it takes. Now, I mixed up more than I'm gonna need, so I will just put that into a little container with a lid, you know, little tiny Tupperware. I get them from the dollar store. I'll just label it and put it off onto the shelf so that maybe I'll need it for another project. If I don't need that exact color, well, then I can add another color to it. So I'm not wasting any product. The last piece on our bird cage. Now, I have to tell you, the light gray looks lovely. There's still some of that creamy yellow showing through, so we've got a little bit of, you know, some contrast. I've just decided though that because of that, I could either do a second coat of gray to make sure everything is all covered well, or I could take advantage of it kind of having a bit of a two-toned look and add a third tone. So what I've decided is I'm taking an old ratty brush and I'm just gonna quickly kind of dry brush a little bit of white over it. So I'm not going to be painting on the white as heavily as I did the gray, but I think that what it will do is kind of highlight a little bit of those details in ways that the gray just did not. And just brighten a little bit, and then it'll be done. But it's kind of one of those things that just adding, sometimes like if you added just the gray and you didn't plan on full coverage so that there would be two tones and you got that yellow coming through, sometimes then it just looks like you missed in your painting. But as soon as you add that third light brushing, that dry brushing of that third color, now if there's any of that first color peeking through, now it looks deliberate, right? So I just think that some of the little details disappeared without the white. This will just kind of, again, serve to freshen it up. It already looked good with the gray, but it's just gonna add another little something. And then we'll let this dry. And this is, I'm just using Casement by Fusion, so it's an all-in-one paint, which means once this dries, this one's done. Let's take a look at our finished projects. So first up was this little guy. Now it was a lot darker looking, and the metal, this rusted metal, didn't really stand out. So just doing the little bit that we did to it, and we didn't do a lot, right? Just that little bit with that white wax and then a little bit of that decrepit dust in it. That's all we did to kind of brighten it up enough. I loved the rusty metal, so I wasn't going to touch that. And that's really all that's required. This is all ready to go. It could certainly go on a tabletop. It's got the holes here to be able to drill it into or nail it into fencing or to a wall or something. Put your plants in there if you'd like, but I love the look of this as a bird feeder. So I would put a little oblong dish in there and fill it with bird seed and have the bird sitting up on the rail. I think it would make awesome little pics. But, you know, that's just me. So again, it looked really old, it looked really tired. Well, it was both of those things, but a little bit of wax and a little bit of dust. And that's all that it took. This guy was just a happenstance. It happened to be the day that I was thrifting. I saw this and I just thought it was super cute. Loved again, obviously, that it was Italy. So distressed to find the big chip out of the side. I mean, if you were keeping this for yourself, then you could certainly just have taken maybe a marker or some paint in this color, covered over the chip, called it a day and been fine, or turned it around so you couldn't see the chip. I just wanted to show you another option more than anything else, rather than just re-thrifting it and being ticked off. Just going with maybe a bit of the look and creating a little bit of a rustic balance. I'm gonna put this over on the shelf probably and use it for some of my paintbrush displays, but I just like it being a little bit more finished. This guy, I just, you know, I mean, how cute is it anyway? Just the shape of it. I loved the copper metal that was on there already. It just all kind of faded away with the green. Now we've got kind of three tones. We've got that green, we've got some of that dry brushed red, and then we've got that little bit of that wash that we made up. And you can see that because of the amount of top coat that we had in there, it doesn't stand out huge, but it does kind of soften the look, brighten it up a little bit, create a little bit more contrast with that, but it still has that real rustic look to it that suits it. I mean, you could have gone pure white with it, done it nice and bright. You could have repainted this in a black for contrast. There's a lot of options that you could have done. I just wanted to leave it nice and rustic. I mean, that seems to be kind of the theme. And then there was this, this is the dump store, the dump store. There is no store at the dump. The dump find. And here we just did a lot of dry brushing. I mean, we painted on that gray, but because we didn't spray it, we did it with a brush. We were able to see some of that creamy yellow peeking through. Then we dry brushed the white so we can still see some of the gray and some of the creamy yellow. And I like that kind of aged patina to it. We're not trying to fool anybody into thinking that it's brand new, but it lightened it, it brightened it, it took it from kind of this dull and dirty look into something that is going to be super cute. I mean, it comes with a bird perch on there, but I really envision, you know, you're able, as much as there's a little door in the front here, the whole lid lifts up and back. Sorry, I couldn't see which way I had to open the clasp to do it. And you could put in a whack of candles if you wanted for outdoors. You could put in a big plant. You could use this indoors. It's just really versatile, as much as it's got a hanger, so you could hang it if you chose. You could leave it on a hearth. You could leave it on a corner of the patio, part of a floral vignette. Lots of versatility with that piece. Just different quick finishes. And I get that there was nothing earth-shattering today, but when you're out and you're thrifting and you're looking at a lot of these, don't think that it has to be a huge, big, time-consuming change that you're making. Sometimes it's just a little bit of paint, or understanding, when would I do a little bit of a wax? When would I do a paint? When would I just maybe layer? Am I going to do a solid color? Am I going to just do some dry brushing? It's just small little decisions like that. But especially when you're dry brushing, you're using almost no paint at all. And it takes no time to dry. So these are quick little fixes that get these out of the landfills, out of the dumpsters, and back being used again. And I think that they're all super cute and they all have a place. Let me know what you think. As always, look forward to hearing from you. And I definitely look forward to seeing you on the next one. So until then, take care.